Aloha.
Aloha, aloha, mahalo family, mahalo. Blessings to you, Eleanor. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Jerome?
I'm doing well as well, my friend. It's great to see you again. It's been quite some time.
A couple years, yeah?
Yeah, a couple years. We went live back in October of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So a couple years. A lot has transpired in these last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And that was such a powerful time for me too. That last time I talked to you.
For sure, for sure. It was, a transformational time, and I'd love to hear, some of the developments and I guess the enlightenments, things that you've been excited about, things that you've gone through, grown through, or shown through. How have you flown through?
Well, thank you. Let's see. Last time I talked to you, I was drawn to doing fruitarianism. And
You did 9 days.
that's
Yeah.
how I found you, yeah? So I ended up doing about 3 months then, fruitarianism. And
Whoa.
I did a 1 month on juices.
Okay. A whole month on
Yeah.
nothing but juice?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It
That's
was so
amazing.
It was so amazing. It was so amazing. And that's when I shed my mucoid plaque. Mm.
Okay, you seen it come out?
Yeah, on juice fast day like 17 to 21, it all came out.
Whoa. Okay. So you gotta tell me like what was your reaction? And for those who don't know like what you're talking about, just briefly could you tell people like what is mucoid plaque? Because sometimes people go on Google and Google tells them like it doesn't exist or people don't realize what's in their body. So what would
Yeah.
you how would you describe it?
I mean, maybe I've heard some people say it doesn't exist. Maybe some people don't have it, but I feel like most people in that have eaten uh, general foods in the modern life that we eat our whole life have mucoid plaque, and it's just like condensed waste that's gotten stuck, and to the point that it's become something different. Like it's not regular waste. It's
Right.
like you'll know when you when you eliminate mucoid plaque. It's like, oh, that's it's like rubbery, almost like you
Yeah.
could pull on it, like it's like bubble gum or something, but it's like black and it smells like death.
Yeah.
And most people have it like filling up their whole small intestine. I had no idea. Like I was very lean, thin my whole life. I went through 2 pregnancies with this stuff inside me. It was an incredible amount that came out of me. And when it came out, it was euphoric, but also like almost too overwhelming. Like it was such a dramatic change so fast that it left me like reeling.
What do you
I gotta
mean?
say. Like when it came out, I was just like, whoa, like, and it just kept coming right over those 3 days. And I had also been like, on the fruit for 3 months and the juice. So I was feeling like almost like I reached kind of a wall
Hmm.
with my cleansing. Like I had to slow it down a little bit. Like it just made me feel like, wow, this is a lot really fast. But I was so glad to get it all out. I felt like it was like a clean slate, because it takes some time to get there. Like in order for your body to really dissolve the mucoid plaque. I've heard a few people getting it out different ways,
Hmm.
using herbs or things.
Yeah, there's a blessed herb colon cleanse. I don't know if it's still around. I remember that's the one that we used, me and one of my previous partners. I was in a relationship and she was doing all kinds of cleanses, Eleanor. She was doing like the liver cleanse, kidney cleanse, parasitic cleanse, and then we both did the blessed herbs colon cleanse, and that was with juicing and psyllium husk and bentonite clay. So
Hmm.
were those some of the things that you used, or was it just juicing?
I feel like it was just the juicing, but I did use the psyllium husk and bentonite clay at the end. But I feel like most of it was just because of the juicing. Like by the time I got rid of all like the regular waste, which took like a couple of weeks, it was like, oh, a few days, and then I started to get super nauseous, and then like it was coming, and like that helped. I think helped get it out, but I think mostly it was like just that um the astringency of the juice and like how it hydrates it, and it just gives your body a chance to move on. I heard someone say that they got rid of theirs by just 7 days on coconuts and then taking shots of ginger.
Mm, interesting. Interesting. So there's so many different methods. Yeah,
Mm.
so many different methods. And yeah, the psyllium husk and bentonite clay is usually typically what most people will go to, where one of them like picks it up and then the other one sweeps it out,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. So it's like it's magical the way that it can happen, but my goodness, Eleanor, when you're talking about you had no idea, like you had gone through 2 pregnancies, you had a flat stomach. I mean, this stuff, and you said it just kept coming.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was mind blowing.
Yeah, totally. It was crazy. And like when you're going through that and then nobody around you has like any clue, people think you're crazy.
Right.
It's a
So,
trip, but yeah, I felt really successful doing that. That was a great feeling to have that relief. But then after that, I couldn't do the fruit anymore. I was just like almost like too high,
yeah.
and I just had to
Too,
come down. And I've gone
too
through,
high. Too
yeah,
high. Like buzzing, like too high, like it felt
like
like,
anxiety,
oh, okay. Gotcha.
like it was too much. And then my body was telling me that I couldn't do the fruits anymore, and it turned out I had a histamine intolerance related to my mold allergies, so I couldn't do like
Wow.
um, nuts and seeds or other more like dense things
Yeah.
to stay raw. So anyway, I've gone through a journey and found out what's worked for me, and I've really cleared up a lot of issues. Like a big reason I went into it was just a calling. Like, well, there's just more. There's more to me than I'm really living right now. Like I know that I have more capacity for vitality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've always known that. You know, you told me last time that you've always had that kind of like rebellious nature of going against the grain and going against the masses, going against the majority and kind of doing the opposite and knowing that there was vibrance and vitality within you. And you display it all the time with your embodiment practices as well. So I can only imagine, I guess, where that would take you after you got all that gunk out of your body. I can only imagine, I guess, where your energy was after that.
Yeah, and like anything, progress is not linear.
Right.
Sometimes you
Absolutely.
go through a big jump and then you like go back down and you come up again, get ready for the next time. I just
Absolutely. And just, yeah, just going easy on yourself, forgiving yourself for things that we didn't know because, coming from Maine, like I remember you were telling me you grew up in Maine and you used to work at a natural health
you have a
store.
good memory.
Well, I mean, you told me,
Yeah.
So you were telling me about growing up in Maine and that you had family members that, were dealing with health problems, maybe obesity and eating all kinds of fast food. So with people that you used to be around, and that were, living differently than you live now, what do you feel like people take for granted about the stuff that they actually don't know is inside their bodies?
What do people take for granted about what they don't know is inside of their bodies?
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm sure it
Yeah.
was a complete surprise to you.
Yeah, I think people normalize sickness, and they're just like, oh, this is okay to be this way. Not that it's not okay, like it's all, you're in your right path, but it's just like that it should be normal to be sick, or that it should be normal to be angry and depressed, and it's just kind of the way it is, and we all like to relate to each other that way and like feel seen. Or people on social media, I feel like, are all being like validating each other for being miserable,
Mm,
when it's like you have so much more than that available to all of us. And I really believe in the purifying the physical vessel,
mhm.
and that like in this density, in this reality that we're in, that like that translates to all the dimensions. So like if you're cleansing your body in this realm, it's like that's going into your emotional body, it's like going into your spirit, it's cleansing you on a multi-dimensional level by cleansing this like really dense bodily self. I totally believe that.
Right. I
But
agree.
I think a lot of people are walking around, you know, and they're not even expressing who they are. They're more being controlled, right, by their parasites or whatever's living inside them or around them. And I definitely feel like the more sensitive I get, the more in tune I am with that. And I feel like even into my own self and my own parasites. And I'm just at this point I've gotten into the dry fasting because of listening to what people were talking about with that, and like some religious scriptures and everything too from the past that say stuff like sometimes some demons, you know, some parasites can really only be eliminated, can only really be defeated with like prayer and fasting. You know, it really takes this like physical work, this like battle to really be able to claim your own temple, you know?
Like a biblical, like on biblical proportions, you know, like snatching the body, taking possession. And as well, you know, exercise, which you're big on exercise. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like performing an exorcism. You know, when you do exercise, that's like exorcising a demon, right? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I do movement for joy. It's just definitely my passion. I love it, and it makes me feel, yeah, just so grateful and happy to be alive, to be able to practice that, and like it's such a expression. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Movement, some kind of movement is so important for people.
Absolutely. You know, our bodies are designed to move. You know, we're made to move. I I was raised in the church, but now if I had a religion, I would say walking.
Yeah,
Walking
yeah.
is my religion. I have to walk every day. I have to do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I get to do it. I get to do it. You know, I have these legs. I get to do it. You know, so I feel very privileged that I have a body that is able to go long distance. And I feel if, you know, if I can just imagine us, you know, going around migrating, you know, being gatherers before there were vehicles and before there were Teslas and, you know, Hondas and, you know, all these different cars and stuff. I mean, we had to use our vehicle to get around, you know? So I feel like we haven't evolved to the point where we are above using this body. You know what I mean? It's almost like there was one day it dawned on me, and I've spent a lot of time in traffic driving because I drove for Lyft for like 3 or 4 years, and I've taken over 2,000 passengers. So I've had like over 2,000 people have been in my back seat telling me about their lives, right?
That's a good job for you.
Good one, good one.
No, you probably helped a lot of people by listening to
Hey,
that
you
job. Yeah.
know, I can only trust, and you know, there have been a lot of conversations that I felt like were wow, you know, like thank you for giving me the words that I needed to say to this person because yeah, there were a lot of them, like some life-changing conversations I've had with people, and yeah, that's neither here nor there, but hey, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, Eleanor. And yeah, it dawned on me one day when I was sitting, like I was just sitting. Even though I was driving, I was getting to my destination faster. It's still like I'm not using my legs, really. You know, I'm not really moving like that. So it's almost like a wheelchair. You're like a vehicle is like you could see it as a really fast wheelchair getting you from here to there. You're not moving, you know? So all that exercise kind of was going out the window. So I said, no, let me bring this back in here. So yeah, just seeing that stuff come out of your body is mind blowing, especially when you don't think that you have it. And there were a couple of things that you said, Eleanor, that were really key that I've never heard before. You said we normalize sickness, and you said something about misery. You said there was it was like
Like,
the validate
yeah, we like to like validate each other's
the
misery and like,
validation. Okay. Yeah.
but without like without really knowing that it's those feelings aren't necessarily really ours. It's like all this gunk, honestly, and the parasites and the stuff that's like physically living inside of us that's keeping us in these vibrations that are so negative. And like after getting all the stuff out of your body, you can like look around and you can see like, well, that person is really constipated. Like most of us are still constipated, to be fair. And it's like you know, what's inside of us is really us.
Okay. So it gives you compassion,
Yeah, and more of an understanding.
understanding, and compassion. Okay. It gives you empathy?
Yeah, and I think like doing the work like this, like the really hard work, like right now, being uh in a dry fast, is like, yeah, it calms the ego and it's like humbling, and I feel like that does give you more empathy. And that's like a big reason why I'm on this journey, is like because I, you know, I don't want to have these feelings inside of me and these thoughts of judgment and comparison and like thinking that I know better than someone else. And
Right.
you know, because it feels like the same way it feels good to move, even though it's something hard maybe to do, it's like just doing it for the good feeling. And it feels so good to be humbled and to be
What
free of judgment.
was it?
That I'm willing to put in the work to like to feel that, because I know that there's like these, like, I don't know, this energy, whatever it is that's attached to me from like my lineage or wherever it is that I come from, that's making me feel these certain ways that I'm used to feeling. And it's like, I don't want to feel that way anymore. Like I want to be at peace.
Right, right. They say anything that costs you your peace is too expensive.
Yeah. I'd rather do this like really hard work. Like I have people in my family looking at me like, wow, I would never do that. It looks so painful. It's like, well, I don't know. It's less painful. It's less painful than not doing it.
Right. Because when you were doing, when you were first starting, like pole dancing, was that very challenging for you? Like when you first started getting into it, moving your body in a completely different way, was it very challenging in the beginning?
Oh, that's my friend.
Hey,
Honestly, that
giggle
not
bubbles?
really, not for me.
Not for you. You were made for it.
Yeah, I really thrive on intensive movement. I really need that. I see that in my one of my daughters too. Like having that outlet is really necessary for my mental health. So I was really looking forward to it, and I started doing it after I had two children. So my body was like had been craving it for so long to do something like that, and I was just so in gratitude that for the chance, the opportunity to do it. It was amazing.
Beautiful,
So I've loved every moment of that journey, honestly, so far. So, but
beautiful.
I like I have a special opportunity here that's a little bit different maybe than what other people would have. Like we just have a space where there's so like, yeah, there's little pressure, and it's just a really good space for healing and for joy and for expression. So it's really nice.
Yeah. And you mentioned your daughters. How is Orla?
She's good. She's almost 7 now.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, they've gone
Awesome.
through a lot, and I'm like on a journey with her too. And like that's something that I feel like a little bit alone with, or like haven't necessarily found someone to connect with on this, like the journey of healing with kids. And it's so different than doing it on yourself or like doing it on an adult. Like
Mhm.
how to really help kids that you see, especially your own kids that you really want to help. Like you see them suffering and you like, you know why, and you can tell like they have parasites or they have
Mm.
um like physical blockages, but it's like how do you really help a child?
Right. Because with what you've learned about your body, how would you go about, what advice would you have for when it comes to parenting? I don't have any children of my own, but, for the future, eventually if I do have children of my own, what advice would you give on that?
Well, I just think every child is so different, honestly, and you just have to follow your intuition, and that like you know what your particular child needs. It's always like a dance, you know, it's always changing. But yeah, like how I parent one child honestly is so different from how I parent another child. There's not really a one size fits all.
Right. Right. Okay. And are there things that you said that you worry about sometimes when you're thinking about, what she might be consuming or anything like that, or not really?
Oh, definitely. And it's always such a balance because, you know, it's a strain on our relationship for me to be in a power position, because like my older daughter is like she really values autonomy and freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like her number one. So it does help me to like to validate that, and it's like so that she understands that I see that she needs freedom. And then I talk to her about like putting that in balance, like, oh, if I let you make all your own choices, then you actually wouldn't have so much freedom, because if you made this choice right now, that you'd be sick for the rest of the day, so you wouldn't get to go play with your friends and go do things you want to do. And so anyway, I help to guide her, and also like let her make poor decisions, just not like too many, so she can learn from herself. But I don't know, it's just always, I guess, about intuition and connection. And for me, I just always want to stay connected with her and keep like this trusting bond, because I think that's number one. But yeah, it's also just like such a letting go. She's on her own journey, and if she needs to experience these unpleasant things that I know I could help with, but she doesn't want me to help, like that's just how it is too.
Yeah.
She's getting older, it's not the same as when she was even just a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Do you remind me, Eleanor, there was like a video of, I think it was in China, but there was a man and just he had a little boy. I think it was his little son. And it looked like kind of like a toddler, but he was walking on this little bridge, and it had like these three pieces of string or something that were in the way, and the man just kind of stepped over them and kept walking, and you see that the son comes up to them, and then he can't get over the string, he's like tangled up in it, and then his father just keeps walking, and he can't get close to his father, and his father just keeps walking, and then he just turns around and he sees his son, and then he turns around and keeps walking, and he like wait for his son. He goes off into the distance and maybe finds a bench in the distance and sits down and just waits, for like, maybe a minute and 30 seconds, and wait for his son to like figure out how to climb over and how to shimmy his way out of this one and then get over that one. And then finally he went over to his father, and immediately his father got up, and started clapping. But before that happened, it looked like his father was just about to leave him there, or wasn't really concerned for him, but he wanted him to figure it out on his own, you know, like he wanted him to go through that struggle. Not that he wanted him to struggle, but he needed him to understand that he was resourceful, I think, on the inside, that he could find his way out. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Supporting and facilitating their process to learn on their own. That's what it's really about. And sometimes it's easier said than done. It's more like, a whole part of a whole family operating together. And like one child might need that, another child, that might be painful for them.
Exactly.
Another child really thrive on that, And I think the parents know really what their kids need. We're so connected.
Okay. So not every child needs that kind of treatment, you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. Like I have one child that really thrives on, I don't know, I had the instinct to really push her, and the other one not so much.
Okay. Were were you very pushed when you were younger, or not so much?
No, I was actually, I wish I had more of that. I think as a child, looking back, I was like very much like allowed to do whatever I wanted.
Freedom.
Yeah, I had freedom, but like not very much discipline, maybe. And
Not like structure.
yeah, I didn't have like exposure to people who discipline themselves, which I feel like is so good too for my child to like to see in me, and to know that one day like she also has the knowledge, like she's getting on this really subconscious level, that if she has these issues, like I had growing up, she's gonna know, she's gonna have the tools, and then it's gonna be her choice whether or not she uses them. But she has these tools now from seeing me go through it, at least.
She's got a great role model. He is a
She's
great
got a few.
example.
She's got a few.
Yeah, yeah, great example. Great embodiment of, what it's like to be able to thrive in your element, in your element.
Uh,
It's yeah, seriously. And today you were actually, you just came on. I don't think it was a random coincidence that you came on live and you were talking about how you were inspired by a talk I had with Trevor about fasting. What was your inspiration for this 3-day dry fast?
Well, I've been over the years since I did the juice cleanse, I've been doing like more slow periodic fasting. I've been doing, I love juice since then. I do a lot of juice. And I've done a few shorter water fasts. You know, I had it in my mind that I was going to do a lot of fasting once I had weaned my children, and I have. And I've pretty much just gone as much as possible because in the toddler years it was really hard for me to water fast because I felt like I just needed to really slow my vibe down to relax, and that's hard to do with toddlers. But now as they're getting older, I've been doing more and more, and so I was doing water fast, and I'm just an avid researcher, and I like to go on YouTube and see other people's experiences. So I found fasting with Trevor and consumed all of his content. Was super inspired by him, and uh, I like his energy. And I saw his talk with you, and yeah, it was all really inspiring to me. So I was like, wow, okay, dry fasting is where it's at because I've done a few of those in the past too, just more like shorter ones. And I love the idea of the efficiency of it, and also that you can achieve things on it that you can't on a water fast. You know, there's just something different happening, which I think they both have their value. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, wow, I can achieve some of my goals this way, and I can do it quite quickly. And I'm just really just interested and fascinated in the process and some of the potential that I might uncover through this, and some of the clearing that I might have, because I just feel like, yeah, there's just more inspiration I want to receive, and there's just more senses that I want to perceive, and there's just more energy that I want to express, and I feel like this is a path for that. And so it's it's like a dramatic path, but I think that maybe in the future, it'll catch on, like
Mhm.
kind of like intermittent fasting has really caught on with millennials. Now it's like, it's going to go further and further into just, more health and more detox. And I think people will really catch on to this, and that is something really powerful that people have been doing for eons.
Absolutely. For centuries, I mean, for millennia, I'd say, I mean, for so long,
Yeah.
for so long. So, like, when you're talking about, because, yeah, Trevor definitely breaks things down at a nice scientific level, biological level, a very, just very like logically, it's very for me at first when I was listening to it, I was very in my mind about a lot of things because I didn't understand everything that was actually going on, but he kind of he brings it down to earth and lets you understand the processes that the body is undergoing. And it's interesting because when you talk about your goals and the things that you want to achieve, and you talk about the senses that you want to awaken and unlock, like what are some of these things that you feel that you could only get through the avenue of dry fasting?
I feel like it awakens the psychic powers, when you really clear out. So I know that it heightens smell. I've had these experiences on dry fasting where I will just like walk by a place and I can sense the energy of what's happened there, like in the past, whether it's good or bad. Like kind of the same thing where I usually feel that with people between people. I'm like a pretty emotionally sentient kind of person. Like I really pick up on people's vibes and intentions.
Hmm.
So that heightens. And then I've noticed that it even extends to like places where it's like I can feel the energy of what's happened in this place in the
Ooh,
past. And there's
ooh.
like, I just think there's just so much more. There's like on a 4-day water fast, I had a vision of the inside of my body, of my pancreas, which was really amazing. That had never happened to me before.
You saw inside?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a vision of my pancreas detoxing. I didn't even know what a pancreas was or like looked like, and I had to look it up, and it was like, wow, that's what I saw. That was pretty incredible.
What was
But
that?
I just feel
What
like
was that like? Were you sleeping or you were completely awake?
I was like, in between the sleeping and awake.
You had a vision of your own pancreas. What was that even like?
It was just kind of like it was in my mind's eye. I saw this like kind of triangular, like bulbous, like squishy thing, and I saw it like squeeze, almost like wring out like a sponge, and it, like squirted out all this green liquid in my vision. And then I was fully awake because I was kind of like in this in between state when I saw this, and then I was like, I was fully awake, and then after I saw it squirt this green goo, and then all I was like sneezing for like an hour. I was like sneezing and I don't know, getting stuff out through my sinuses. So something had happened. I think I was having some kind of pancreas detox on this fast.
You had an upgrade.
Yeah.
You got upgraded. You got
So I know,
upgraded. You are like Eleanor 3.0.
and I know it's just the beginning. There's just so much potential to what I can see in my mind's eye, to what I can perceive. I think that we all like I like to really watch a lot of content too about ancient cultures and the way people talk about how, you know, human beings have the potential to listen, and, you know, we can hear the messages from plants, from animals, from rocks. Like, we're just one with everything, and we can really tap in, and we can tap into the knowing of all things. Like, you can receive from like universal consciousness the answer to all things. And I think you just, yeah, there's so much in the way and that was what blocks us, like almost like the dirt around our temples is what's blocking us from perceiving these senses that we've had the whole time. So I feel like as you chip away at those things, and if you have that intention and the mindset as well and the desire for that, then these things can start to come more online. And yeah, it's a process, but I believe in it, and I'm really excited about that sort of thing. So
I'm excited as well. You know, I'm excited for your growth, for your developments, for your ascension, for your evolution, you know, getting rid of the pollution to reach evolution. You
yeah.
know, it's like you find your inner solution. And it's interesting because people have so many ways that they go about it. They talk about, of course, the decalcification of the pineal gland. They talk about, you know, getting closer to the Akashic records and, you know, seeing the library, the storehouse of information that's in the ether and the Akashic, and, you know, just getting it more in tune with your ancestral guides or your spirit guides or your angels, your guardian angels, you know. So many people have different ways of, you know, contacting and seeing beyond the veil, like peeking beyond the illusion, beyond the matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the realization that we're multidimensional,
Mm.
and that just brings so much peace. I feel like to our world, if we all really knew that about ourselves, how powerful we are. And
Yeah. Wh-
yeah,
When did you realize that, Eleanor? Like, when did you know, without a shadow of a doubt, how powerful you are?
I still don't know. Still, I think I have no idea.
Was there ever a notion or a feeling like there's a saying, I think it's maybe Julian Williamson, someone said that, you know, our deepest fear is not that we are actually inadequate.
Marianne,
Marianne Williamson,
yeah,
there you go. But
but
that
that we are
our fear,
powerful beyond
there
measure.
you go. So have you ever had that kind of fear or never like that?
I mean, yeah, it can be overwhelming.
How powerful you
The
are?
power and the joy. Yeah, I had one like kind of vision when I first moved to Hawaii. This is like in 2012, and I'll always remember this. And I just like a lot of times I'll get something like that comes into my head that's just sort of a knowing, like not necessarily that I even heard a voice directly, but I just have this knowing like come into me, kind of like the same way I'll hear a thought from someone else,
Mhm.
and it'll feel like my thought, but I'll just have a thought come into me and be like, oh, that thought came from my higher self. I can kind of tell.
Mhm.
And anyway, this thought told me that um, I'm moving more towards a reality where my thoughts and feelings are going to more like quickly manifest into reality. Like that I am moving towards a reality where what is inside of me is like directly reflecting back to me like really quickly. And it was kind of like a warning. It was like, so look at what's happening inside of you right now. Like, is that what you want
Mm.
to be happening to you? Because that's where you're going.
Mm. It was like a warning sign.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, work on yourself, because it's like what is in yourself is going to be what you're experiencing. And I think that was like my first like awakening to that was moving here, because I was definitely raised in this consciousness of that we're just come from a puddle and we're monkeys in some objective reality, that we have no
Right.
real
Right.
real power over our experience.
Like,
And I kind of started to realize that, yeah, we're actually spiritual beings, and
okay.
what we experience inside is reflected on the outside. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really started working on myself then, I think, when I moved here.
So it's more than just the Planet of the Apes, you know?
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes out here, we're more than that. You're saying we're actually more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the Land of the Apes.
Yeah.
I just
No,
got the video of the guy like on the beach, like, no.
was that Caesar? Or
He
who?
was he realized, right, that he thought he was on an alien planet, and he realized it was
But
his own planet, and it
yeah,
happened.
it was Earth. It was still Earth. It was like
Yeah,
the Statue of Liberty was
yeah,
poking out the ground, right?
yeah,
And he was like, "It's a madhouse. Yeah, it's a madhouse." He was like, "What did you do? What did you do to this planet?" You know? Yeah, yeah. So, when you were talking about hearing and knowing, Eleanor, that really triggered some things because from from what I've gathered, from what I've heard from people, and also, my previous partner, she was always talking about these things. She would really eat up this kind of information that you're giving us right now. She really would soak it up like a sponge, and she loved it. So I remember her telling me that, clairvoyance, that's like I see things.
yeah,
Clairaudience is like I hear things. And then, clairsentience,
I
I
feel.
feel things. But then there's a claircognizance,
I
and
know.
that's like
Yeah,
I just know. I don't even know how I know. I just know.
yeah. Oh, give me the goosebumps. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's what you were getting?
yeah. And I feel like over the years, I've put more and more trust in that feeling and like that knowing, because um, I think at the beginning, my mind is like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. But over time, you get to like trust that, oh, this is a knowing, and you don't need necessarily to make sense of it,
Hmm.
but that it's like a real perception that you're having, like, because it is kind of harder to conceive, like when if you're a really clairvoyant person, which is like I think a lot of psychics people think about clairvoyance, like, oh, I have a vision, and I saw that happening,
Mhm.
or I predicted the future, or I saw it, went back in time. Anyway, like, it's something kind of more tangible, but just like the knowing is like hard to understand, I guess, until you really experience it.
Right. It's hard to describe, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Hard to even put it into words.
it's almost like
Yeah.
it's like a cellular feeling. It's like your cells know.
Your whole body.
Yeah,
Okay. Your cells. So like a cellular level and like a cellular level. You just know in your whole being. Okay. Okay. Wow. That is powerful because when you got the indication, when you got the information that, whatever you are putting in is what's going to come out. Like your life is going to be a reflection of your own connection with whatever you're consuming, like, or whatever is, coming in is going, like, when you got that information, how did that change the paradigm? What did that make you want to do maybe more of, or maybe less of? Like, how did you change?
yeah, it made me really, really want to work more on myself than necessarily striving to achieve things.
Okay.
And it made me really transition from this mindset of like efficiency
Mm.
to the mindset of like feeling and like doing what is intuitive in order to actually be more efficient in the end, or to, like, to get you where you really want to go, is to following your calling in a sense, and kind of like surrendering to that, rather than operating so from the mind and trying to achieve things in this more external efficient way. And it gave me more trust in that. So I feel like that's been my journey.
Mm.
And still, I feel like there's uh, I'm doing such a fighter, so I have really tried a lot to force myself out of situations that I felt were undesirable. But every time that's been like a humbling experience. So I'm just like coming back to doing the inner work, and I feel like this, like, fasting is a really big part of that.
Mhm.
And if I can I can fast enough, then I can get this like inspiration. And then it's like, it's not so much like something that I've just like made up in order to make a change. It's like something that like, you know, God, the universe has like told me that this is my work. And I feel like if I'm aligned with that listening, then I'm, you know, then I know that I'm going to succeed.
Beautiful. Yeah. If we're listening, only if we're listening. I like that. So you're now you're listening to your intuition to be more efficient.
Yeah. And to do like to kind of sacrifice the desires and or like align my desires then with the input that I'm getting.
Okay. So coming more into alignment,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, coherency, right?
Okay. Beautiful word, coherence. I love that. I love that. So before it was maybe more mental, more of the mind, the machinations of like, you know, just kind of like trying to be the best, the most efficient, and having the desire to achieve and struggling to accomplish. And you're saying now it's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what this fasting is about for me. Like it's for healing, you know, physical things and but it's really about being able to listen more effectively so that I can that I can follow my path, that I can succeed in what it is that I'm meant to succeed in.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, that like surrender to that and be like, I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm like gonna put in the work. I'm gonna be my best version of myself. You know, I feel like in order to fast, like, because it's so hard, like especially I don't know, dry fasting or going past a certain amount of time that you're not used to doing something that's like extreme compared to your experience is hard.
Mm.
And it's like if you're gonna do that, in some sense, you have to be like really like sick of yourself.
In what way?
Like I just over like almost like just so over my own like I don't want to say my own inadequacies, but like just my own like feelings of like sometimes when I'm acting in a certain way and going through the motions of what I'm used to acting like, I'll just have the sense like my higher self just knows like, you know, you don't have to be this way. But I don't feel like capable of stepping up to it. Like often it'll happen in parenting if I'm, you know, if I'm really tired, I'm getting agitated with my kids and I just know like, you know, you have the potential to be more than this. Like I just get this message. Like you don't need to be feeling these agitated feelings. You don't need to be feeling this frustration. Like you can find like you can humble yourself more. Like there's more peace to be found and it takes some work to get there because I'll be like, I'm just not ready for that yet. Like my body will kind of respond like I'm just not there yet. I just don't have the capacity. And I just feel like doing some deep work like fasting is like renewing my capacity to be more of my higher self.
It is a renewal. Yeah, it is a renewal. It's a restoration. Sometimes it feels like a resurrection. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's a rebirthing of yourself. You know, it's a refreshing. It's a revitalization, reinvigorating. It's really It's like a revival.
Yeah. It's like when you feel like your house is like really dirty and you just have to get like sick of it enough to be like, all right, I'm going to do a deep clean. I'm going to like go
Yeah,
for it.
cleaning house,
Yeah.
cleaning house, or just, you know, the feng shui of your temple, you know, moving things around to get a better flow of energy, like feng shui. You know,
Hmm.
that's you're doing that with your body. So, I mean, geez, you know, that's like you just have such a perspective when you're talking about these things, Eleanor, and especially with understanding like what you are here to do, you know, having more meaningfulness, having more fulfillment, having more purposefulness. Because I can tell you when I first went on, you know, the solid food vacation, like when I first went on my month on liquid, and that was years ago, I was so dissatisfied. You know, it came from deep depression, deep dissatisfaction, deep unfulfillment, deep lack of purpose.
Yeah.
And it flipped everything around. And it was so quick. Like the way it happened was so magical. I was like, how in 28 years of my life was I living like that? You know, like,
I want to scream it from the mountains. It's like, it's so powerful.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I had delayed that amount of bliss for so
Yeah.
much of my life. Like it was right here the whole time, you know? It was amazing. It was amazing. So, do you feel like everyone has that when it comes to a purpose, when it comes to, being in service either to the all or even to themselves? Do you feel like everyone has something that they are here to do?
Yeah, of course. Of course, I feel that way. And I feel that the human heart is so pure and good. All you have to do is look at a baby, you know? Humans are all so good. And we get these layers built up on us through this life. And there's just, yeah, there's so much for us to experience. And yeah, it's so simple, honestly. It is like cleansing that can get us there. I believe it. I believe that's really the path.
Yeah.
That yeah, everyone does have a purpose. And I think you're like we were saying about angels, like everyone has angels and everyone has gifts and everyone has a reason that they're here. And that's like uh that's just the opposite of depression, right? Is like feeling like on purpose. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. On purpose, purpose driven, just to have something within you that is that fire burning, that
Yeah.
kindling flame, that can be self-sustained on that flame. I definitely feel sustained on that flame, like when I'm writing books, when I'm, working on content, when I'm creating things for people. I just feel like, oh man, I get chills just talking about it. I feel channeled,
Yeah.
like there's something that's streaming through and beaming through my vessel, and it's just bringing something to life. Like that is, for me, it's a whole process, it's a whole thing, but it definitely feels biblical. Sometimes it feels very spiritual, like you're very connected to a source, to
Yeah.
source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are. I love that. Yeah, you have so much clarity and consistency in what you do, is that you can tell that you're channeling it. And that's what we really, all we can do is like support the channel. Like we can't necessarily control it or decide what our purpose is, but we can just like hold space for it.
Hold space. Hold
Yeah.
space for your purpose when it comes.
Yeah.
Hold space. I love that. I'm very curious as well. What do you do on these dry days? For the majority of people, and this is also from my observations, when you're not spending time thinking about the food, going to get the food, bringing the food, maybe cooking the food, preparing the food, eating the food, digesting the food, cleaning the dishes, like when all of that is gone, you have nothing but you have a lot of time on your hands,
Yeah. So
you know?
time.
So some people can go crazy with all that time on their hands. It can be very uncomfortable for people to exist without food in the interim, like without interrupting their day with food. When they don't have that distraction, it can be frustrating. So what do you do with all that time?
Food is really stimulating too. It's very mentally stimulating.
Yeah.
So honestly, I feel like the only time that I can really turn off my mental stimulation and get like a deeper meditation is either fasting or when I'm bleeding. As a woman, that's like a time where I don't know, something about my hormones, like it changes and I can like really tap in during that time and I can really connect to my breath. But usually food is so stimulating, it's like it's too boring to connect to the breath. I have so much I want to do when I'm eating. And yeah, digesting can be a lot of work, especially if you're like I do a lot of like trying to bulk, trying to put on muscle or trying to gain weight. And it's like heavy to digest things. You do need more rest. But what do I do when I'm fasting? Yeah, I read a lot. I read a lot about fasting. It helps motivate me. Or I read like motivating things. It goes up and down. Like at the beginning of my fast this time, I was super inspired and felt really clear, and I just like made a whole lot of plans, had a whole lot of insights, just drew and did a lot of journaling. And then after that, I went through like a wave of really discomfort. So I just was kind of just getting through. It's kind of like just being sick, really. You don't really want to do anything. You just lay there and you're wallowing in your pain. So I've done some of that. But just, I have still responsibilities and things to do even without preparing food. I'm taking care of my kids and
Of course, of course.
talking to them. So I was going to take them to the ocean today.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just being with nature honestly is so nice when you're fasting. It's so much more profound when they don't have that like same mental chatter, just to be with the plants and feel the wind on your body and to feel the ocean. I mean, maybe I'm used to like having more free time than the average person. But it just feels really nice to just be in nature, I think.
And I'm sure it's a different, flow of life in Hawaii. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure a different pace.
Exactly. Yeah, we're more used to a slower pace here, and there isn't like that kind of desperation where somebody sees you not doing something, they're like, "What are you doing?" Like we're all kind of just used to like being in the flow in general. So it's like maybe easier to adapt to.
Is there a word that they use for that in Hawaii? Like a word that they use for being in that flow?
We just say going with the flow. Um, we say I'll see you in the
I'll
flow.
see you in the flow. Awesome. So everybody's like that, the whole island.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. Awesome. I gotta go there someday. It's on my list. It's on my
Yeah, come here because we have that volcanic energy. So there's also like it can be kind of chaotic here spiritually, but I feel like that's the purpose of this place is like this is a healing, like a mecca for healing.
Mm.
And it's because this volcano, like whatever is happening with the earth energy here, there's like something is coming up from the depths and it's surfacing. And that's what this island does. Like this is a volcano, this unique, it's the only volcano like this in the world. And yeah, it's bringing up the depths of the earth and it's surfacing it. So it'll bring up the depths of you and it will surface that. So
Bringing everything that needs to come up to the surface.
yeah. So people come here for, for a couple of years to experience that and then
Wow.
go on their way. That happens quite a bit. But
The Mecca of healing. Mecca.
and
Wow.
it's like not necessarily like a very gentle healing. All the islands have their own energy. This island has like a very like raw kind of energy and like a tough love.
Okay. It doesn't hold your hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't just kind of pat you on the just really rough love. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, before, I just want to make sure that I got this correctly, what you were saying, Eleanor, about the stimulation. You said that food has so much stimulation that when you remove it, you said that is there a void when you remove it? Or like something that you want to fill, or you feel compelled to do something because of that lack of stimulation?
I mean, there definitely can be like a boredom and a
Boredom.
frustration. A
Okay.
frustration, boredom, yeah.
Okay, boredom. Got it.
But
Without the stimulation of food, yeah.
yeah, it seems like time takes so long to go by.
The
And
days go a
especially,
lot slower.
yeah, and I don't have I don't have a lot of ambition the same way I would. But and if you can appreciate that and just know that it's temporary and also take the benefits of it, like, and really spend time connecting to your breath, like you have such a power to do that when you're fasting. I feel that you don't have other times
Right.
to really like get just
Yeah.
profound enjoyment and like bliss from connecting to the breath. It's really possible.
Yeah. You can really go deep into the diaphragm, you know?
Hmm.
Really deep
Yeah.
diaphragmatic breathing, just like fully. I mean, I don't think I've ever, before I went liquid and before I just started, letting go and surrendering, I never really was breathing. I was kind of always in a state of inflammation, mostly in a state of constipation, like you said
Yeah.
before. And
Me too.
I, I remember when I first felt like, wow, this is what it feels like to breathe. This is what actual breath feels like. So, yeah, thank you for that reflection.
Yeah. It's almost when you get really deep with it, it's almost like you're being breathed.
Hey.
Instead of you're doing the breathing, you're being breathed.
Mom, I have $33.
Wow, wow.
33, that's a magical number right there.
It is.
33. So blessings. Great to see you. Great
You
to see
too.
you. This
Thank
has
you
been
for your
amazing.
time.
This has been
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much, Eleanor, just for your testimony, just for catching up with you. It's really great to hear you, to see you, to feel you.
You
And
too.
yeah,
Your presence is so uplifting. I definitely feel it. Thank you.
awesome. Awesome. Well, congratulations already. And yeah, just keep going. Keep
Thank
growing.
you for the encouragement. I appreciate it. You too. All right. Aloha.
Aloha. Take care.